The little boy was only 12 years old when he was raped, but he took out his anger on his 5-year-old sister. Not only did he stab the lower body of her doll to pieces, but he also posted online that he had tied up the 5-year-old girl and played while cutting her. When the police learned about it, they immediately interrogated the boy and forced him to admit that he had violated his sister. Unexpectedly, the boy Jack had a violent temper. He cursed at the police and insisted that he only had the idea and didn't actually carry it out. Anyway, he just wouldn't plead guilty. The police were a bit at a loss about this. Little did they know that Jack was the real victim. Given Jack's current crazy behavior, the captain of the police force decided to detain him in a psychiatric hospital first. Of course, the father objected, but his objection was overruled. After locking Jack up in the psychiatric hospital, the police analyzed that his abnormal behavior surely wasn't inborn. There must be a reason for him to become like this. So in order to find out this reason, they then went to the school. Sure enough, they really got some leads. The headmaster said that Jack was a troubled kid. He not only drew pornographic pictures on a girl's desk with colored pencils, but also wrote an obscene illustrated novel and passed it around to other students. And the school had already decided not to keep him starting from the next semester. Then the police wanted to know if he had hurt other students. It turned out that there was indeed one case. The chubby guy was beaten by Jack in the locker room until his head was bleeding, but Jack didn't have a single scratch on him. It was really hard to understand. Then the two of them went to find the chubby guy. According to his account, that day Jack came out of the bathroom and someone pulled off his bath towel. He just jokingly hit Jack's private parts twice. Unexpectedly, Jack flew into a rage on the spot and beat him until his head was bleeding. And while beating him, Jack kept shouting rape. He was so scared that he didn't dare to fight back. After hearing this, the police immediately understood. Then, based on Jack's manifested behavior of retaliatory venting and the change in his personality, the police concluded that these were typical signs that he had been molested. The next step was to find out who had molested Jack, and the father naturally became the first suspect because during the interrogation of Jack, he had been interfering with the police. But there was another problem. Jack had been unwilling to cooperate with the investigation. How could they get him to speak up and identify the molester? So this thorny task fell on Dr. Huang, the psychological expert. At first, Jack was also very unruly, but when he started complaining about his parents, Dr. Huang immediately seized the opportunity and asked him to talk in detail. Unexpectedly, it made Jack suddenly fly into a rage, and the more he reacted like this, the more it indicated that there was a problem. Then, Dr. Huang slowly induced him. Jack finally said that his parents had signed a confidentiality agreement with others, and he couldn't violate it.
I had a sleepover. There were a bunch of kids there, but I was the only one who got to sleep in the treasure room.
What's the treasure room?
His bedroom.
Whose bedroom?
Billy.
And what did Billy do in the treasure room?
He had these pajamas laid out for me. He helped me undress.
Jack couldn't go on talking about what happened next, but how could Dr. Huang give up? Only when he said it out himself could it be considered evidence, so Dr. Huang gave him a sincere and earnest persuasion again. Sure enough, Jack gave up his resistance.
He touched me. He made me touch him.
Did you tell your parents what happened?
Yeah.
What did they do about it?
Got rich.
At this point, things finally became clear. The person who sexually assaulted Jack, Billy, was the father's former company boss. Afterwards, he paid a large sum of hush money. That's why the parents didn't let Jack speak up. Jack had been under so much pressure that he had become so strange in character. Then, after investigation, it was found that Billy was the big boss of a well-known toy company. At only 35 years old, he was worth tens of billions, and the bank statement of Jack's father also showed that in the 3 years after he left his job, he had received a total of $4 million. This was undoubtedly the hush money. At the same time, it was also found that Billy was very enthusiastic about donating to various children's organizations. This was obviously an excessive love for children. There was no telling how many other victims there were, so the captain of the police force decisively ordered to search Billy's house immediately.